yourself.
Oh, you're going to sit there?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I'll sit here.
All right.
So this is just a short recording of a conversation about a topic that came up during a lesson today when we were playing in Balliol College chapel on their piano there. And one of the basic ideas in Lubomyr's music is that you want to be sort of low effort. You don't want to strain your hands, and a great way to do this is to support your fingers with your wrist. And I have always interpreted this as, for example, if I need to stretch, I should swing my wrist so I can make the stretch without actually stretching my fingers. But when you actually watch Lubomyr play, the amazing thing is his hand barely moves at all. So he may be stretching or something, but the wrist isn't doing this incredible stretch. Although it can, it just doesn't always. And so maybe this is something to talk about, how to understand this properly, like how much wrist motion can you use to help the hand versus how much should you not move at all in order to conserve your energy.
This is truly a profound topic. It seems at first when this came up during our work at the piano, at that time it seemed quite a simple thing, and all the way when we had some talk about it, my impression was that it was quite easy to answer, and I gave you answers. Oh, well, it depends on specifically the piece and how long you're going to be doing something, or the type of movement, or the specific chord, the relationship between the black and white keys. Sometimes you really have to, it's very important that you swivel the wrist to move the thumb and then back up to the fifth finger, depending on the type of figure. Like in 12 notes figures, there's definitely, the thumb has to move down because it's always da 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 da.
Yeah.
So there's a lot. But now I realize that this is a terrible topic to cope with, from what you said here, because sometimes watching me play something, my hand is not doing that. I'm not doing the swivel movement at all. And I realized, why not? Why am I not doing it? And I understand full well why I'm not doing it, because I don't need to, because my hand is not an ordinary hand. So it's kind of like the continuous pianist becomes a little bit elastic in the hands. And so without conscious thought, I'm able to leave the thumb there, and it will create absolutely no tension. Or if it does, after a little bit of living with it and giving to it, suddenly the tension and difficulty disappears, and you have just, your thumb and your fifth finger playing. The one thing that can be generalized is that the normal sort of classical finger method, where the fingers hop up and down all over the keys, they're basically dancing in the air and everything, cannot function in continuous music. Your fingers have to be at zero work normally. I mean, of course, sometimes something you have to do will be demanding, but normally they feel absolutely no demand. Therefore, they're not moving up and down. What in a classical pianist's hand, he plays the note, so you actually hit it because you have no time to do anything. You're always moving somewhere else and going bang bang bang, and that's fine, because that's needed in order to do the choreography on the keyboard. But in continuous music, I don't play the key. I touch it. And there's quite a difference, because touching it requires almost no effort whatsoever. And if I wish to play louder, the touch is given weight. There's no muscle. It's not like the classical thing where you're moving like you actually have to strike quite more solidly or heavier with your finger. So this is all related to what you just asked about the swiveling of the hand, that something mysterious and very beautiful happens to the hand of the continuous pianist. So sometimes I need to swivel, sometimes I don't. And I think generally when you're learning as a student to advance and play continuous music, the general rule would be yes, wherever it's helpful or is obviously helpful, you do that. Yeah. Now,
but what is obvious? Because for a long time with Pockets of Light, for example, there is that G plus 8 figure,
yeah,
where you do 1, 2, 5.
yeah,
And what was obvious for me, because I have quite large hands, is I just do it.
yeah.
But this creates a sort of agonizing stretch on the bow shape. So when you started to talk to me about real wrist swiveling, this is when I adopted that as an idea.
Yes.
But the point I'm making here is that what is obvious to you is not obvious to someone with a different training.
Yeah.
Of course.
Very,
so based
yes,
on what you're saying,
it's good you remind me.
I need to ask, do you think there are instances where you don't need to swivel because your hand is already so supple, but I would?
Yeah.
So there are figures where you would recommend me to do the thing that you do not do, in a sense. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Until the hand is able to have the capacity where your mental control is so difficult to explain, because I'm trying to think. I know exactly, for example, in the piece Sacred Thousand, you have this constant octave going. It's forever, the whole piece. This is that with 3 notes. And at first, I found it slightly strenuous, even though my hand is quite advanced and I guess, spirited in some way. Like it's not simple flesh. There's something more happening in the hand, and but very quickly that dissipated and fell away, and I found it no problem at all to play for an hour with this this stuff. Partially, one cannot forget that the intensity of playing a piece, like in continuous music, there's 2 types of pieces, and one of them is basically just, I guess, abstract music. The other one is something like Sacred Thousand or Windmills or The End of the World, where there's a deep personal, like the soul of the player is united into the music, into the emotion and the message within in music, and this also it's some one unit, that connection of your soul and your heart to the music somehow works also to alter your hand, so that this is a sort of a magical change in the hand, so that what normally would be strenuous and difficult becomes super easy to do, just because your mind in the living of the music, because you live the music, not just orally as music, but you live the message inside the music, so that places you in this very, very good state of being able to alter the substance of your hand and and your muscle structure and your sinews and everything.
And that altering is not a conscious decision in the sense of, oh, now I'm going to change my hand. It just happens.
To
Right?
some extent, I think it is conscious, but very little. Yeah, it's a good point about this guy. But you see what a terrible topic you've raised
I know.
now.
You could speak for an hour rather than 10 minutes about this.
Yeah,
or several hours.
But we can. I'm sure there will be new ways to talk about it later on. So we'll get back to it.
Sure. Maybe one quick thing. I mean, it won't be quick, but we can give a quick answer maybe. If a student, myself or anybody else, finds a figure strenuous, how might they know if this is because their hand is not yet ready or if because they're just playing the wrong technique? So for example, Cloud Facade initially was strenuous for me. How would I know if this is because I'm sort of not swiveling enough or if it's just simply because I'm doing the right things but I'm just not ready? I mean, this is a tricky question.
Yes, and I also had difficulty playing Cloud Facade because I normally, like when I actually played it in concert, because number 3 is very long, and it goes quite quickly, and so at the first times, like I just simply played bits of it, and then suddenly during the concert, I found it was really, this is, yeah, I really had to sort of push myself through it and get there. But strangely enough, the next day, never again was Cloud Facade difficult.
Yeah.
It was always just like eating ice cream. There was like it just melted in the mouth of your hand, like, and so it's a crazy combination of the spiritualization of the hand and also the strength, the power of the hand. This is why continuous piano is quite related to martial arts, because in the absence of muscle, there grows a whole new power. So I don't use the muscles much.
But in particular, I think maybe to be clear, obviously a muscle moves, but it's also in the absence of muscular exercise, you become more powerful sometimes. You cannot play any piano for weeks and not exercise. And normally when you don't exercise, at best you become a bit weaker, but you find yourself coming back stronger, which is almost like a proof that it's not purely muscular.
Yes, I never saw it that way as a proof, but I know that that's how it works. When you don't play the piano as a continuous pianist, you advance, and this is proof that it's very.
It's not. It's not just finger action.
It's not just finger action. There's something. The hand needs time to grow, and or to develop. Maybe not grow is not the right word, but to and also my hand does things now that maybe 20 years ago it would not, or would find very, very difficult to do.
It is funny to say that Cloud Facade was once hard for you, because at that time, maybe this was the early 2000s. Is that right?
No, Cloud Facade number 3 would have been around 2008. So, well,
2008, okay.
Prior to 2010.
Already long before 2008, you were playing pieces I cannot play at all, but I can now play Cloud Facade. So that's also a funny
Cloud Facade
thing.
was considered to be super easy. Well, what I was talking about was because of the duration. It's 20-25 minutes long if you do it completely with like everything, and so it was not like I have never had a major problem to do any of the new things and new pieces.
Mm.
I'm trying to do. So the problems have always been small and disappeared
Of
very, very
course,
quickly.
it's a small.
So
problem.
cloud facade is basically super easy. Like on the scale of 1 to 10 in difficulty, it would be like a 4. You know.
Well, on the scale of 1 to 10 of continuous piano.
Oh yeah,
difficulty.
of continuous piano.
Because it would be quite hard without being
But
familiar with
of
your
course,
music.
someone just beginning would find it difficult. They might manage
Well,
to play it for a little while, but the hands.
you know, it was a different skill, right? I can't play Beethoven concertos. Someone who can play Beethoven concertos would probably struggle with clap facade just because of the physical strain.
Yes, this is one problem. Some of the great classical pianists did focus on having a strong hand. But I think most of them, the big majority of, especially today, in the products of the conservatory, ignore the hand and look solely on the speed and the lack of mistakes. So if you can play faster than somebody else and still make no mistakes, then you're a better pianist, and that's just not so. But that's the mentality. So this thing, like I focus on the hand more than on the fingers, and it's not for pianists to do that is actually very, very good, because the fingers will look after themselves, and but this is related to the original topic we were discussing about swiveling the wrist in order to ease, so that the thumb does not have to waste energy stretching out. It's not just energy, it's also a waste of mental.
You want to let the thumb look after itself.
In general, I don't think much about my hands as I'm playing. Sometimes because of the touch, like I'm listening to it and I'm changing the sound by changing the touch on the keys. But in general, I'm thinking of something else. And I mean, the most beautiful thing is, I mean, now, like, I actually, in concerts, no, because of the tension, it's a concert, but before the concert happens and I'm just playing, like, I close my eyes and I'm playing. And like yesterday, I saw like an 18th century scene out of the 18th century in some salon. There's two, three people talking, and it's
while you were rehearsing.
Yeah.
And why doesn't that happen during the concert?
Because I'm more tense during the concert. I'm in public. When I just sit there, I just sort of I'm just listening and playing.
But you are a master, and you have been playing concerts for 50 years. You have, in some sense, you.
Well, it's
don't
not
need
compared to other people. People would say, "Oh, Lubomyr is very relaxed on stage playing," which I am. But it's not total, because the total state of relaxation is that everything disappears and I'm just sitting there at home playing the piano, and suddenly, oops! Oh, I'm on stage. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So it's
okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
But I'm not particularly nervous. But I'm trying to give.
You're trying to give the best, yeah.
The best, and trying to live the music like passionately, whereas.
Ensure there is drama. Yeah.
But this vision and stuff, it's basically sort of, it's strange, and that's only been happening in the last several years.
Really?
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
But the amazing thing is that you never cease to develop as a pianist in continuous music. I think that as a pianist in the classical world, you're pretty well finished by the time you're 40. Like, there's really you've played everything that you're ever probably going to play most of the time, and you've done it the best that you'll ever do, and it's really I
Sort
don't
of
know.
like a sportsman.
Well, the problem is that Beethoven and Bach and Mozart, they wrote, their music is too great. Like, the pianist doesn't have to do anything. You play the notes, you don't have to do anything, just play the notes, and the result is glorious. But that doesn't work with continuous music. You have to put
Yeah.
something in, and so the thing with being a classical pianist is that there's not really much for you to do. Once you
Well,
play the concerto,
And anybody listening would say, "Oh no, but classical pianists pay great attention to rhythm and articulation and dynamics."
but once they played it, they will always play it the same way forever. It cannot change. So it's basically a resurrection of it's a copy of something that's already happened, and that has happened 5,000 times around the world. Since Beethoven wrote his piano concerto, it's been played 20,000 times in the world, maybe 50, maybe 100,000 times, and each pianist will do it the same way. And they're not
Wow.
perfect copies, but pretty well basically it doesn't matter. The music is so spectacular that it doesn't need the pianist to do anything except provide a little bit of power and do the right notes and like make the phrases, and the pianist has to make it beautiful. But with classical music, it's pretty easy to make it beautiful. It's so obvious.
It is already beautiful.
Yeah. It's just you just have to make the run nicer. I mean, like somebody might run brum, and the other one might brum, like quiet down on the top. The other one will go on, but that's about it. They can't change the speed. In continuous music, you're constantly changing the speed. It's a living entity, as you like, so.
Yeah.
And the next time we have to talk, what I talk about this, what I discovered today is that how deceptive it is that you can play one piece, but another piece is very difficult and awkward for your hands to do. And so this is puzzling to me. So I'd like to explore that
Sure.
with you further on another time.
Let's rest up for now.
Thank you.
Good.